Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 214.
On Now You Know.
We're brought to you, as always, by our amazing Patreon patrons. We just started a new perk level on Patreon. It's called our Investor Club. We have a whole Slack with everyone on our Investor Club on there. We also have monthly live streams with interesting people to talk to. So go check that out if you're interested. But you could also just support us for $1 a month and get access to our awesome Patreon bonus stories.
This episode is sponsored by our friends at Lesser Evil Healthy Snacks.
As Halloween sneaks up on us and you start thinking about gathering up treats for trick-or-treaters, you might want to consider something healthy to hand out this year.
Yeah, may we suggest Lesser Evil Healthy Snacks like their new mini cookies.
Because of course, kids will be getting tons of candy.
But maybe, just maybe, if you treat them to some delicious and good-for-you Lesser Evil snacks with organic healthy ingredients, they won't rot out their teeth. If you've been watching for a while, you've probably heard us talking about Brilliant.org, and you've probably heard us mention what a great resource it is for students.
But what if you don't care about all that fancy book learning? What about the real world? What about street smarts? Well, Brilliant has courses for you too.
Everything from how refrigerators work to axe throwing,
solar power and fossil fuels, and even solving crimes. Brilliant has a wide variety of courses with interactive lessons and quizzes to keep you engaged learning something practical.
To support our channel and learn more about Brilliant.org, go to brilliant.org/nowyouknow and sign up for free.
And also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.
And head on over to ecoware.us, where you'll find new designs uploaded every week, and we carbon offset the manufacturer, shipping, and life cycle of your purchase, and we plant a tree for every order.
So it's carbon negative. Start positive conversations with carbon negative products. So did you hear about the new Model 3 refresh?
Okay, now I don't think I'd call these next few items worthy of a refresh label, but they are new updates to the US-produced Model 3. So we've got the Chrome Delete,
which is huge. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that.
Yep. There's also the powered trunk lift, like in the Model Y.
That's another huge thing.
Is it huge? Okay.
Yeah.
You got the interior, which is getting an update with a slightly darker new upholstery on the top of the vehicle. We haven't seen pictures of that yet. Tesla has replaced the shiny piano finish center console with a matte finish, and they've embedded a phone charger in the top section. The center section slides open instead of folding in, and then they've wrapped the outside in a faux leather all around.
I think that all of these changes are pretty important all on their own. Power liftgate, I think that a lot of people wanted that. It really sets itself as a luxury car. All that interior stuff, yeah, the piano black looks good when you first pick up your car, and the first time you do anything to it, it starts to look kind of crummy, scratchy, and bits of crud stuck on it, and you have to really polish it to try and get it to look nice. So I think that that's really smart. I like the faux leather everywhere. I think that adds a little bit more of a luxurious feel.
True.
And let's face it, not a lot of people could figure out the whole foldy console thing, although I think that it looked good. I think that this looks just as good, if not better. Yeah,
there's one piece, which is when you put your phone in right now, you can hide it behind a door, but I think a lot of users thought that would be cool, but it turns out you don't really ever want to hide your phone.
You're taking it with you.
Yeah, you don't.
And it's the key to your car. You're not going to leave it in the car. Okay, and that's not all. There are these new wheels.
Those don't look new. That looks like the 19-inch regular sport wheel.
Well, let's look a little bit closer. Now, not everyone is sure whether this is the 19-inch or it's an 18-inch. I think that this is the 19-inch.
But what's different about it?
So here on the left, you can see this is the old one. On the right is the new one. Same styling, but definitely different design.
All right, I see. So the new one has like a slightly thicker wheel.
Yeah.
And it's more filled in, I guess.
I don't know if I like the look of this wheel.
Yeah, I don't like where the air filler is notched out right there.
Yeah, the notching, I don't know, it doesn't speak to me as much.
Maybe it's more efficient, though.
It could be more efficient. I think that also having that thicker outer wheel section doesn't look as nice. A lot of people like having the thinner wheel, and that just kind of ruins the illusion of having that super duper thin tire.
But speaking of new wheels...
All right, so it's been a few years since I bought my Model 3. I absolutely love it. There's one thing though, I mean, I went with the 18-inch rims. mostly because they were the cheapest option at the time. And I liked the look of these to begin with, and I still don't mind them very much, but I'm starting to get a little bored of this look, especially since I see about 1 million Model 3s out on the road and we all look identical. So I kind of want to stand out. Now, the cool thing about these wheels is that they're not just steelies underneath. If you pull this off, and it's pretty easy to do, just a couple clips, you get this fairly interesting looking rim underneath. That's pretty cool in itself, but there is one problem. And that is this sort of unsightly section. And so, you know, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money and have to buy completely new rims. Like, that's not what I am going for. I simply want something to cover this up so I can have my cool looking wheels that are slightly different than everybody else's. And Tesla actually sells, supposedly, a cover to cover this, but it's been out of stock since I bought my car. So there's been absolutely no opportunity for me to actually cover these up. So I've been keeping on, you know, my wheel cover until today. My automotive advisor here has told me that I need to clean off the brake dust before we continue, because it's too gross. So he's taking care of that for me. But yeah, we couldn't continue apparently without doing this vital steps. All right, so we got all the brake dust cleaned off. It cleans up quite nicely. There's a good clear coat on these rims actually, so there's you know, not too much to worry about in that department. But again, it's just this center section that looks gross. It's a little rusty in there, and then these lugs. And so that is what we have here. So this is a product sold by CustomAeroWheels, and it is made to cover everything that you don't want to see here. So I'm just going to pop this right on and let's see how it looks. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty sharp. Covers up everything you didn't want to see, leaves everything that you do. And now I have a completely new look to my car. So this just sort of clips into that gross looking circular part of your wheel there. It's got a little spring clip here, little plastic pieces that you know, allow you to clip in, and also have a pretty good detent, but also have an angle so you can actually pull this off if you don't want it anymore and you want to switch back to your regular Aero wheel covers. So I mean, as you can see, it's a major difference, a major change in the look of the car. You know, there are going to be some people who are going to say, you know, oh, but the aero efficiency. Yeah, I thought in the beginning that these were going to be giving me some amazing aero efficiency that I wasn't going to be able to live without. It's never come down to the last few miles for me. I've always, you know, been able to manage my charging pretty well, so I'm pretty confident that I don't need this. I might throw these back on if I'm going on some really long road trip where I'm worried about range, but that's the nice thing. I can pop this off, pop these back on, keep these nice and safe, and yeah, for the summer, for other times of the year when I want this look, it's available to me, and they're not that expensive. So I don't know if there's much of a weight difference. I think that this one is definitely heavier, so if that matters to you, then all the better for you. These are CustomAeroWheels. You can find them at CustomAeroWheels.com.
So I see that you chose red for your little black inner tees. Are there other colors?
Yeah, so the body comes in gray or black. The gray matches quite nicely with your rims themselves, and the black kind of stands out a little bit. You can also get different colored inserts. So the Tesla T, you can get it in red, white, blue, black, gray, or chrome.
Nice.
So plenty of different options there. Help you stand out a little bit in the parking lot.
Nice. So Waymo opened its driverless rideshare service to the public last week.
Wow, that is so exciting. I'm going to go out and go hail a driverless car.
Awesome. Hang on.
Wait.
It's in Phoenix, Arizona. That's the only place you can get a Waymo.
You just said it was open to the public.
In Phoenix.
Okay, so I'll go to Phoenix, and then I can tell everybody about it, all my experience. It's going to be, all right, sweet. I'll book a flight, I guess, to Phoenix.
Well, hang on there. I think up until now, you've had to sign an NDA if you wanted to ride in the car, and they didn't make it clear whether that would continue. So by agreeing to the terms of the app, you might be agreeing to an NDA where you can't tell your friends about the ride.
Why would I get in a driverless car if I couldn't brag to my friends about it?
I think Waymo doesn't want you to take pictures and tell people in case things go wrong because they're still in, testing.
Okay. Well, I'm just glad that they're using, fully electric vehicles. I think
they're not. They're using a hybrid Chrysler Pacifica. That's a hybrid, not fully electric.
But I mean, hey, it's driverless, and I guess it's open to the public.
Well, Okay, so according to Waymo, they said, quote, in the near term, 100% of our rides will be fully driverless. But I don't know what
In the near term.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. It means coming up, or that means...
Well, and also,
sure.
what does driverless mean? Is there a safety driver sitting in the front?
Not clear.
Oh, okay.
But Frank Tinsley tweeted out to Elon, he says, it only works where they have high-resolution maps and only so long as nothing changes to outdate or disagree with the maps. It's fragile.
And Elon said, exactly. We barked up that tree for way too long. Sigh. Gives a false sense of victory being close. A tantalizing local maximum, but reality is just too messy and weird. Our new system is capable of driving in locations we never see even once.
That's a huge point, because Waymo has only gotten to this point by super mapping this one location on Earth, and it's a location that has really good weather and really wide roads. Whereas Elon's saying, our Teslas will pretty much be able to drive anywhere. And then Elon went on to say, Waymo is impressive, but a highly specialized solution. The Tesla approach is a general solution. The latest build is capable of zero intervention drives, will release limited beta in a few weeks.
Wow.
And Tasha Keeney from ARK Invest tweeted out last Thursday about Waymo opening its fully driverless service to the general public, and she said, the first robo-taxis likely won't be autonomous everywhere, all weather, all scenarios, but even a level 4, some remote human help a small percentage of the time, autonomous taxi could still be less than half the cost of driving your personal car. So yeah, check out this chart here. For almost 100 years, it's cost about 70 cents a mile to operate a car. Soon, it could be down to maybe a third of that.
And so when we're talking the 70 cents a mile, we're including buying the car, doing all the maintenance, insurance, fuel, everything that goes into the car over the life of a car. It's going to cost you 70 cents a mile versus if you don't own that car is electric and autonomous, so there's no driver or anything, and it's being used constantly throughout the day instead of being parked outside of your house or outside of your work.
And Pranay said, hypothetically, will this new full self-driving update be able to drive summon across states, given it's all connected and not blocked by any borders?
Elon said, yeah, provided we do our Metal Gear Snake auto coupler.
Wait, what?
So remember, this was years and years ago, Tesla shared this video.
Oh, that's right. In 2015, this is the robot Snake EV charger that Elon said they might be working on.
Right. I like that he's calling it a Metal Gear Snake.
But they're not going to actually do that.
Well, Zane tweeted to Elon, he said, will we ever see the automatic Snake charger? And he said, yes. But, of course, there is no timeline. But Elon did say that Tesla would have a fleet of 1 million robo-taxis by the end of this year. So they're going to need some way to autonomously charge, I guess. And I guess this is the best way to do it, is to have a bunch of Snake chargers. I don't think so.
But if you're going to have Snake chargers, you're also going to need sexy Snake jazz.
Elon said, yes, we will play sexy Snake jazz. I don't know when they're charging it. Again, I keep going back to, this is one of those like crappy jobs where you're going to be sitting there. An autonomous car is going to pull in and say, human, please plug me in. And you'll go, all right. You walk over and you plug it in. And then when it's fully charged, it goes, human, please unplug me. And you walk over and you unplug it and it drives off to go pick up somebody else. I think that is going to be the first thing that they do, and then those jobs will slowly be replaced by maybe robot snakes. It still remains to be seen.
I bet we skip the humans altogether. I think you're going to slowly start to see a rollout of snake chargers at superchargers.
I don't think so.
Okay.
They have to be weatherproof. They have to be, I mean, people are going to freak out when they see these.
The humans have to be weatherproof. They're going to have little tents and
they'll
feet
put
warmers.
The tents. They don't care. That's your job. You're going to sit out there with a book. It'll be a pretty good job. I mean,
all right. I think snakes are coming first. We'll bet on it.
Snakes are humans.
Comment down below whether you think I'm right or whether I'm wrong. So in SpaceX news, the Pentagon's Space Development Agency, which will soon become the Space Force, awarded SpaceX a $149 million contract to build missile tracking satellites.
Also, SpaceX just deployed 60 more Starlink satellites into orbit last week, bringing the total in the network up to about 700.
Now take a look at this video of the launch.
That is super beautiful.
Yeah, going by the sun like that?
Yeah.
Elon said, once these satellites reach their target position, we will be able to roll out a fairly wide public beta in northern US and hopefully southern Canada, other countries to follow as soon as we receive regulatory approval. Dirty Tesla said, does this include Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor, Michigan, or is that too far south?
Elon said it will soon. Now, you can't get too much further north than Detroit. It's on the northern top part of the country. I mean, yeah, Maine is further north, and so is Alaska.
Yeah, but as they creep further and further south, it's going to include more and more people.
Okay.
And then in more SpaceX news, Brendan said another section of Super Heavy has been spotted. The stack is comprised of 4 rings and features a label saying Lock Stack 2. And he asked Elon, when will Super Heavy stacking commence?
Elon said high bay should be finished, except for giant gantry crane, within a few weeks. Super heavy stacking should be around then.
And SN8 underwent a cryoproofing test on Friday and passed. And Elon said, I'm proud to say that the nose is pointier than it needs to be. Haha. Wait, is he talking about like the cone heads?
I think that this is in relation to the movie The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen. He's like a bad dictator, and he didn't get a missile with a pointy thing on it. I don't know. Twitter and references, they're tough.
And then it looks like we know what Elon was reading as a kid. Check this out. Everyday Astronaut said, this is incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything predict the future so well. Wow. And Elon said,
I have that exact art on the wall of the place I'm staying in Boca Chica.
that is eerie.
The angle, the color of the crane, the color of the spaceship. And I think that this really points to why it's important to have science fiction.
Yeah.
If you didn't have things like this, I don't think that the right stuff would be floating around in people's brains to be saying, oh, we should build a super heavy.
And if all this talk of SpaceX has gotten you excited, Eli from My Tesla Adventure and the creator of The Adventures of Starman has just released Starman suits in time for Halloween. This will make the perfect Halloween costume or Christmas gift, allowing your kids to dress up like Starman and their favorite SpaceX astronaut. You can get your suits at starmansuits.com, and if you use our discount code, Now You Know, you'll save $20.
Awesome. I can't wait to get mine.
Hang on, it's for kids. Like
I'm
little,
a kid.
I know, but it's for littler kids.
Well,
sorry.
But I won't.
I know, sorry. So back in the spring, we reported that Elon dedicated his SpaceX resources to help medical device manufacturer Medtronic to make ventilators faster and better. Well, now we're learning more about that. So Medtronic was making 7,500 proportional solenoid or PSOL valves for their newest ventilator at their Galway, Ireland plant in March, but they needed to increase production.
The problem was that the valve is extremely difficult to manufacture. It has over 50 parts and has super tight tolerances. 3 of these valves are used per ventilator to control air and oxygen to patients.
Elon had called on a Friday with a proposal. Medtronic engineer Matt Phillips said they literally turned a rocket production area into a ventilator valve manufacturing facility almost overnight. We had their best technicians, we had their best engineers. Some of the people working on this project are the very people who just launched the first private commercial crew to the International Space Station. They brought the same kind of energy to this project that they brought to putting astronauts into space.
Medtronic was soon able to produce 9,000 valves, the same number that Medtronic's Galway plant produced in 2019. The Galway facility, for its part, could now operate at 5 times the volume of its pre-pandemic operations.
Phillips went on to say, I've never seen anything like this in my life. This project certainly changed the way I look at production, partnership, and innovation. I know that with the right focus and the right energy, we can take what we learned from this project and apply it to other challenges that come our way. Yeah, isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it really shows the strength of SpaceX's engineering prowess, that you can go from launching people into space to then turning around and being like, oh, we need to make some valves? Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think that Elon is very, 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 very good at managing engineers. I know that a lot of people don't like his sort of style, but I think what he's really good at doing is taking engineers and saying, I'm not here to stop you because I'm an engineer and I know what we're talking about. Let's get everything rolling, and there's not going to be anything to slow you down. I think that many, many, many engineers who work in whatever field it is that they work in generally feel hampered by their management. Elon, I don't think, does this, and that is why he has such an amazing engineering team. On top of the fact that he is able to attract the best engineers to go work for him. So a combination of those two things, you end up with a crack team of engineers.
So Amazon invested $700 million in Rivian last year as part of its deal to get 100,000 electric delivery vans.
And last month, Amazon invested an additional undisclosed amount.
Now we're getting to see more of the all-electric vehicle. Amazon says Rivian will start production next year and have 10,000 on the road as early as 2022.
and all 100,000 by 2030.
So there's no specs released, but Amazon released a list of features. And I mean, most of them listed here are kind of like, okay, yeah, you've got cameras around the vehicle and you've got brake lights. But this one stood out to me. What's a dance floor?
So it says a dance floor inside the driver's cabin for easy
Dance
movement.
party for the drivers.
No, it's to help maneuver and get whatever size boxes in and out of the truck.
It's not a
easier.
dance party?
No, it's just marketing gobbledygook. I mean, I think that this is great. You have an electric delivery van. It's got the top end tech and everything.
Yeah,
so
but what if it pulled up and a bunch of dancers hopped out with your boxes and were like, here you go, here's your box.
I really wouldn't want that at all, actually. I would like a quiet van that is safer to drive, safer for everyone, and isn't polluting. Those are the things that I think I care about, and I think that most people would care about.
I like dancing,
especially in
people,
cities.
but...
No, you don't.
Okay.
You wouldn't, actually. You'd hate that. So according to Electrek, Tesla has dissolved its PR department.
I didn't get a press release on that.
Okay, that's because there's no longer a PR department.
So what does this mean?
Well, so we don't exactly know what this means because it's a first in the car industry. But honestly, it doesn't mean too much. Tesla has never been much of a press release kind of company. It didn't have a very big PR department. So they didn't actually do a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we never really got much of a response from their press department whenever we queried them on anything. So I think Tesla's strategy here is just to go direct. They've got the best press department there is. They've got Elon's Twitter account.
Right.
I mean, normally you send out press releases and then you have to hope that the press will cover it, and they usually cover it wrong. Here you got Elon's tweets that go right to people's inboxes.
Exactly. And the news still picks up on the tweets, and they have to read the tweets verbatim. They have to show the tweets
Right.
exactly as they are. They can't interpret much. They can obviously say, well, what does this tweet mean, Bob? And they have to talk about it, kind of like we do in our show. But the tweet is direct from either Elon or Tesla. I mean, Elon has millions and millions of followers. So does Tesla. I think they're saying, what do we need all these press organizations for? They can certainly interpret whatever we want to put out there. But if we want to put out a message, we don't want it to get all muddled up, especially since the press has not been too kind with Tesla in the past. But do you know who's not going to be too happy about this change?
Who?
PRSA. They called this action alarming.
What's the PRSA?
That is the Public Relations Society of America.
That's a thing?
Yes, and they're very upset that Tesla got rid of their PR department because they're the Public Relations Society of America. I don't know. It's just a fun little thing that popped into my inbox.
So they sent out a press release about how upset they were.
Yes, but you can't read it unless you subscribe to their little news organization. So
Wow.
I only got the headline.
Well, here's a scary one, Jesse. According to Bloomberg, Al Prescott, who's Tesla's VP of Legal and Acting General Counsel, he wrote in an email to Fremont factory employees last week. 2 weeks ago, our IT and InfoSec teams determined that an employee had maliciously sabotaged a part of the factory.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
Well, it goes on to say their quick actions prevented further damage and production was running smoothly again a few hours later. Now, the email went on to say that the unnamed employee allegedly sought to cover up his tracks, blamed a coworker, and then ultimately, after being shown the irrefutable evidence, the employee confessed. As a result, we terminated employment.
Okay, so what happened?
I don't know. That's all we know. So you lost interest?
I'm sorry. I want to know what the you can't just be like, there was sabotage. That's a movie trailer.
Sabotage! Espionage! Find out next week on the adventures of...
You know, you don't just go like, hey, then there was sabotage. Tell me what happened. I want to know.
Sorry, that's all we know.
All right, whatever.
Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line.
Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners. And a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo both on screen and in augmented reality.
So speaking of emails, last week in a leaked email to employees, Elon said, "It will be tough but super exciting if we can exceed 500,000 cars made in a single year for the first time in Tesla history. When we started Tesla just over 16 years ago, I never thought we would get this far, but thanks to your hard work and ingenuity, we actually have a chance of making 500,000 cars in a single year. It all comes down to Q4. Please take whatever steps you can think of to improve output while increasing quality."
Okay, so 500,000 cars in 2020. Let's take a look at this year so far.
Yep. So far, Q1 through Q3, Tesla has produced about 330,000 cars. So they would need to produce 170,000 in Q4.
That's a 20% quarter-over-quarter increase. But Q4 has generally been Tesla's strongest quarter.
Yeah.
So it's possible that they could pull it off. I'm guessing that they're not going to hit it, that they're going to be like 498,000.
Okay.
And that all the analysts are going to go,
They
see, we
didn't
told you.
make it.
Well, according to
the
that,
company's failing.
that leaked
Lack
email,
of demand.
you should have listened
They
to
couldn't
us.
do it because they're going out of business.
I think it's really important that Elon does send out these emails to his employees. I think that it's kind of cool to get an email from your boss's boss telling you, like, you can make a difference and here is our actual goal.
No, and the best part, I think, is that they're asking for individual employees' ingenuity. Like, if you see something in your department that can make things go smoother, bring it up. Don't just, like, keep it to yourself.
Right. I mean, it's the growth that's important, and the growth is huge, and that's all that matters.
So here's a story that explains why Jesse and I don't like to report on rosy promises by companies.
In 2018, we passed on telling you that Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Nestle all made pledges to include recycled plastic in their packaging.
Yeah, it sounded great. It was positive, and we really wanted to report on it. So why didn't we?
Well, here's what happened. Coca-Cola began making plastic bottles in the U.S. with 25% recycled plastic.
In 1994, they phased them out due to high costs, officials said.
In 2018, Coke set their target to hit 50% recycled content in all packaging by 2030. Today, they're only at 10%.
In 2008, Nestle set a U.S.-wide goal to make their water bottles out of 60% recycled plastic within a decade.
They never met it. In 2018, Nestle set a new goal to use 15% recycled plastic in its packaging by 2025. And today, they only use 3%.
In 1990, PepsiCo introduced a new plastic bottle with 25% recycled content, but by 1999, they had 0% recycled content.
In 2018, PepsiCo made a new pledge to use 25% recycled content in packaging by 2025. Today, it has only reached 4%.
And here's why we're upset. Companies set a target, and they publicize it, and they take credit for something that hasn't even happened yet.
Aren't we great?
We care!
We're going to do something awesome.
And then they failed to meet their target because they weren't committed to doing it in the first place. And then they come out with a new publicized goal. We're going to reach 25%. Isn't that awesome? Woo! Go us! And then they fail to meet that goal. And that's what we're so upset about. We keep hearing about all these stories about, like, oh, we're moving. Our goal is going to be by 20. And it's like, cool. It's like you're cashing in this check that you never had the money for to begin with, and then you proceed to not earn that money. But you still, to the public's eyes, like, they keep setting all these goals. I can't remember what happened 4 years ago, but it was something good, and they're doing something good now. It's like they didn't do anything good. They just said that they would twice, and they didn't do anything.
And that kind of leads to this next story. We've been advocating that all of us pull our money out of banks that finance polluters and the fossil fuel industry. So, did we win a battle here?
JP Morgan Chase is the #1 fossil fuel bank in the world, with $268 billion in lending to fossil fuel companies, including its biggest fossil fuel client, TC Energy, which is still pushing for its Keystone XL tar sands pipeline.
JP Morgan Chase announced last week that it will adopt a financing commitment that is aligned to the goals of the Paris Agreement. JP Morgan Chase will share more details in its next climate report coming out in the spring of 2021.
Oh, yay! This is so great! Oh, they're going to adhere to the Paris Climate Accords. It's so good. What a good thing that they said.
But let's hear from Rainforest Action Network's Climate and Energy Program Director, Patty McCulley. He said JP Morgan Chase's announcement is a welcome step forward and a sign that the bank is feeling the heat from all sides, from the climate movement to investors. It is a bad day for the long-term prospects of the fossil fuel industry when the world's biggest bank sets itself on a course that logically means that it must slash its exposure to and eventually exit the sector. But vague hand-waving in the direction of Paris alignment doesn't make it so. Real Paris alignment requires common-sense steps that the bank simply has again refused to take. If JP Morgan Chase is serious about aligning with Paris, it must immediately stop financing expansion of fossil fuels and deforestation. If the bank's clients like ExxonMobil and Keystone XL pipeline developer TC Energy won't stop building new wells and pipelines, JP Morgan Chase must drop those clients. a promissory note for 2030 or 2050 isn't worth the paper it's printed on unless it is matched by action in 2020. And in the context of the worst wildfire and hurricane season in history, today's news is a half measure at best.
And so I just want to remind everyone that we don't have to rely on these big banks to make the right move. You are in control of your money. You can move it to a bank that's already doing the right thing. We made a whole in-depth that gave a big list of banks that you can switch your money to make a huge difference for free.
Go check it out and update our sheet. We collectively moved over $3 million out of the clutches of the fossil fuel industry.
And we can move even more. If you have a retirement account, if you have a bank account or an IRA, you can move these out of the clutches of a bank that is going to take that money and they're giving you interest. Where do you think they're getting the interest from? They're getting it from fossil fuel companies. You can move it to a different bank where they are going to be financing completely different things.
So here's some good news on the Tesla energy front. PG&E tweeted out, the first Tesla MegaPacks installed at PG&E's Moss Landing substation. Once operational, targeting Q2 of 2021, this 182.5 megawatt battery system will be one of the largest utility-owned lithium-ion battery energy storage systems in the world. And I know it's a little confusing there because we said 182 megawatts. That's how much power they can produce at any given second, but it's actually a 730 megawatt hour pack.
And it could be going up to as high as 1.1 gigawatt hours of energy.
Yeah, and that's just the Tesla portion of the substation. That's really exciting.
And in smaller energy storage news, Green Mountain Power has installed 2,000 Powerwalls in its customers' houses throughout Vermont so far.
They just announced that to date, in 2020, those Powerwalls have saved their customers $3 million by cutting demand during energy peaks, especially during the hot, dry summer.
Powerwalls also provided 16,000 hours of backup power to customers so far this year.
The waiting list to get 2 Powerwalls for a $55 a month lease is full for 2020, and they are now taking names for 2021.
This is really exciting. Green Mountain Power is truly a leader in this idea of actually giving its users energy storage. I think that it's really smart.
And money saving.
Absolutely.
So Mercedes-Benz announced that their F1 HPP group in the UK and their engineers in Stuttgart are working on the Vision EQXX.
Mercedes said that the EQXX should be able to drive from Beijing to Shanghai on a single charge.
That's 750 miles of range.
And they say they'll be able to achieve this incredible range, not with a bigger battery, but with efficiency improvements.
When's this coming out?
What?
When's the 750-mile car coming out?
I don't know. There's no word on when they plan to unveil this. But we do get these teaser images of what it might be shaped like. It almost looks like a car. Wow. They didn't say, like, we're going to have a 75 kilowatt hour battery. They just said efficiency improvements. I mean, that doesn't tell me anything.
That's a lot of efficiency.
You have to start with a battery of some size. Is it 100 kilowatt hours? Is it 150? What are we talking about here? Who knows?
But speaking of Germany, though, Holmar's catalog asked Elon this last week. He said, hey, what kind of cells are you planning to move our hearts with in Berlin? CATL LFPs, 2170 cells, 4680s. I know you said you're making cells in Berlin.
And Elon said Berlin will use 4680 cell with structural pack and front and rear single-piece castings. Also, a new paint system. Lots of new technology will happen in Berlin, which means significant production risk. Fremont and Shanghai will transition in around 2 years when this new tech is proven.
All right, this is big news because the Model Y in Germany is expected to start production in the second half of 2021. That's about a year from now. Battery Day was a sandbag. I mean, that's obvious now.
What do you mean?
Well, we talked about how Battery Day was kind of this problem that Elon had where he wanted to tell you all about this great news coming up, but he has the Osborne effect to worry about. If he tells you about these new great features, you'll hold off buying the car.
And so what he just said was that Germany is going to get this great new Model Y with the front and rear casting and the structural battery pack and
maybe a new paint job.
Right. And in the US and China, we'd have to wait 2 years.
But I'm just saying, if you were in the market right now for a Model Y, let's say in the US or China, you might just be like, oh, I'm just going to hang back and wait for the super duper version of the car to come out.
Well, so that kind of gets to the question. Everyone is like, well, I guess I should wait for these 4680 batteries. And it's like, why? Like, what are you waiting for? What is it going to be able to do?
They're better.
Yes.
They're bigger.
Bigger and better from the sense that Tesla is going to be able to produce them cheaper, be able to make the
So
car
I'll get a
in
cheaper
different way.
car.
It's not clear as to whether that is true or not.
But I'm going to wait.
But you might be waiting 2 years to get a car that is pretty much the same thing.
But I'll know it's better.
Is that really all you would be waiting for? That's the really, really, really weird thing about this, is that you can buy a Model Y right now. It has all the specs. Maybe we're just all going to wait thinking that, it's going to be this much, much better car. But again, you're going to be waiting a long time.
No, I think you have a really good point. I think that most people who are buying these cars don't even know that there are batteries in them probably. So
Right.
it's only the small percentage probably watching this show that are like, I know the tech that's going in there. But you bring up a good point. It's probably not going to go faster. It's probably not going to have a different range. It's just that he's doing this to save money. So maybe somewhere down the line, the car will get cheaper, but you're going to have to wait years for that. Elon went on to say, battery pack will be a bonded structure with cells providing shear transfer between steel upper and lower face sheets, eliminating most of the center body parts while providing better torsional rigidity and improved polar movement or inertia. This is a major breakthrough. Okay, I'm going to get the improved polar moment. That's what I've been waiting for, Jesse. I told you the day would come when I would get that.
I really don't think that it's going to make as much of a material difference. It's kind of sucks that Elon is such an engineer that he would actually talk about stuff like this. Find me another CEO who has ever mentioned polar movement about their cars.
Let me go through Jim Hackett's... Nope, don't see any.
Yeah.
But how about this tweet? Tesla Dry said, how do you repair rear-end damage with frame involvement if everything is just one piece?
Elon said the crash absorption rails can be cut off and replaced with a bolted part for collision repair. Now, this does get into a very interesting question. People are worried that because the frame is now going to be made out of, single body casts, one in the front, one in the rear, that if that gets hit, your car is going to be totaled. And I have some news for you. If that part of your frame gets hit, your car's totaled now. It doesn't matter if it's made out of 70 parts or one. If it gets hit and your frame gets bent, that's pretty much the end of your car.
It's true. I mean, most insurance companies now, when your frame gets bent, it's because you're in a really bad accident. They just total the car. It's not worth it for them because keep in mind, to fix that car costs thousands of dollars more. And so they're just like, it's just cheaper to write it off. So, because, they're going to auction it anyway. So,
as worried as everyone can be about this single body, what if it gets dented or moved? It would have been totaled anyway.
So remember last week, we were wondering what the real world range of the Volvo XC40 Recharge would be.
Yeah, they had stated a 200 plus miles on their website, but we didn't know what that meant. It could be 201 miles, could be 299 miles.
Well, the EPA has released its range testing for both the XC40 and the Polestar 2. The XC40 got 208 miles, or 335 kilometers, for a 79 mile per gallon equivalent. The Polestar 2 got 233 miles, or 375 kilometers, for a 92 mile per gallon equivalent.
And they both use the same 78 kilowatt hour pack.
So let's just compare these two cars then to the Model Y.
The Model Y has 121 miles per gallon equivalent. So
hang on.
Yeah.
That means, what? That the Model Y is 31% more efficient than the Polestar 2?
And 53% more efficient than the XC40 Recharge.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
I was expecting to see 3% more efficient or 4% more efficient.
And I totally understand. People are saying it doesn't matter the efficiency, it only matters the range. And 208 miles is the bare minimum for me, I will say. But let's talk about efficiency for a second. For every electron that you put in your car, you are going to get 51% further in the Model Y compared to the XC40.
Wait, does that mean what I think it means? That when it comes to charging, you're actually charging faster in a Model Y?
Yeah, so given the same kilowattage, so that is how much energy you're able to pump into the car, and most of the times you're limited on how much energy you can get into the car, especially when you're charging at home. When you're limited like that, every mile counts. It's not so much what the range of the car is, because the Model Y has a smaller battery pack and gets a much higher range, which means that for a given amount of time that you're plugged in, you will get a further range, which is very important because that could make the difference between you being able to make it to work using your charger at home and not being able to do that.
I think this is a point that a lot of non-EV users just don't get. It's one of those concepts that until you start driving, it just doesn't, I mean, you can understand it maybe on this level, but you're just like, okay, whatever. But then when you start driving, you're like, oh, I get it. And if you'd like to see a clip of the story we just did, head on over to the Now You Know Clips channel, where we chop up these stories, put them into bite-sized clips that you can share with your friends.
And hey, please subscribe to that channel so that way people, just random people on the internet, might find those clips, go, hey, that was an interesting story, and then maybe come on over to Tesla Time News and then hang out with us folks.
All right, it's time for Going Green. Hey there. You hear the T is going green?
The MBTA is signing a 3-year contract to power its commuter rail, buses, subway, and stations on 100% green energy. The T's system is the largest electricity consumer in Massachusetts. How much will they save? Oh, how much will they save? About $3 million a year. If you want to get the joke, head over to the Patreon bonus stories to understand what I'm singing here. What do you think? Musical news.
Don't quit your day job. All right, it's time for Into the Future. So Richard Branson is...
Virgin Hyperloop One, the American transportation company, looking to turn the wild high-speed transportation concept into a reality, has announced it's planning to build a $500 million certification center in West Virginia. Richard Branson is chairman of Hyperloop One, reviewed applications from 17 different states. The news comes after the federal government worked out a regulatory framework for the Hyperloop in July. Hyperloop, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. I don't know the rest of the chords. That's the news. That's the news.
Can we keep the ukulele over there now?
I don't know. You're gonna have to let us know in the comments. We thought that these two stories would be a little. They could use a little spicing up. There you go.
All right, it's time for sunspots.
There's no ukulele on this one.
Bloomberg's NEF is now forecasting 3 gigawatts of residential installations in 2020, which would beat the previous high from 2019's 2.8 gigawatts.
Why?
Well, because solar is getting cheaper. And I think also because of the shutdown, people are kind of locked up at home. They need to save money and they got time on their hands. So they go online and they're like, oh, let's just order some solar.
Right, because in the before times, you'd turn everything off in your house.
The before times.
You'd go out to work and they would be paying for your computer to be running and for you to be doing all of the lights to be on. Now you're at home and you're going, why is my electricity bill higher than before this whole pandemic started? It's because you're using the internet, your computer's running, you have all your lights on, you keep opening the fridge all day. That adds up.
Remember the before times. So anyway, they're projecting 3.6 gigawatts in 2021.
BNEF is expecting 10 gigawatts of utility-scale solar and 13.4 gigawatts of wind to be installed this year. That is the highest ever.
So some good news.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to get some solar installed on your house, the team at Energy Pal are energy geeks that help homeowners go solar for less. So take control of your energy, guarantee the price of power and storage costs for the next 20 years, do it all online, on your schedule, on your couch even, by contacting our friends at Energy Pal using the link down below. All right, it's time for the video contributor stories. We got our buddy Scott out in the Tahoe National Forest in California.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. I was driving along this stretch of road. You can see the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit sign. And just as you come around this corner, the speed limit changes to 45. And you can see the car recognizes it as 30. Coming up on the 45. And there's the 45. And there's right behind it is this one that says trucks, 35. And that's the one it goes with, 35. And the 35-mile-per-hour truck sign passing it now. There it goes to 45. And there you can see 35. Here's the 35-mile-per-hour sign from the perspective of the 45. Here you can see it up close and notice it says truck at the top. While we were on this trip, we saw a variety of wildlife, including a snowshoe hare And we took this steep mountain road, and that got red test just covered in this red clay. We went out for an evening photo shoot, tried to catch some photographs of Comet Neowise, which we did. Now you know.
Thank you, Scott.
Those are some beautiful pictures. All right, it's time now for the Patreon bonus stories. So you can head over there, find out what I was singing. If you didn't know what the first one was, I think everyone knows what the second one was. But if you didn't know what the first one was, head on over to Patreon. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. And we do more than just jokes and gaffes and goofs. We also talk a lot about a lot of different stories over on the Patreon bonus stories. So head on over and support us, and we'll see you there.
All right, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. That was a lot of fun. Who do we got for our Patreon shout-outs, Jesse?
We've got Herbie Hancock.
Herbie Hancock. Wow.
Like the Herbie Hancock?
Yeah, the Herbie Hancock. Like one of my jazz idols. Doug Rogers.
Jesse Crutchfield.
Jack and Carmen Van Dyke.
P-A-H-E.
Manuel B.
Jude Hill.
Miguel Campo.
Ethan Chickering.
Lee Olson.
Joe Hinkle.
Alex Cole.
Douglas Price.
And Anthony Francisco.
Thank you so much for supporting this channel. We can't do it without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week, and we cut them down, folks, but there's quite a few of them. All right, so Sam said, by market cap, Exxon plus Chevron plus Shell plus BP equals Tesla. It's time we stopped even talking about big oil. They're our murky little past. Let's just talk about really big Tesla.
Elon said, pretty wild considering that Exxon was the most valuable company in the world when we went public 10 years ago.
Elon said music volume on a Tesla goes to 11 because it's louder than 10.
These go to 11.
John Krause posted this amazing video and photo of Mars, and Elon said,
maybe this should be the flag of Mars. I disagree.
Yeah, it has
a picture taken on Earth of the sun and a rocket taken off from Earth
and
through
not,
the Earth's
not even the rocket that's going to get you to Mars.
That's not even what the sunrise.
How dare you?
The sunrise doesn't even look like that on Mars. It's blue.
Whole Mars Catalog said, it's funny, when you watch Daimler and Tesla investor presentations, you can really see the difference between the two companies. Daimler's CEO talks about the company like it's a spreadsheet, but Elon and Drew talk about engineering and products. I know which I'm investing in.
Elon said, I do so wish that more companies would put down their spreadsheets for a moment and focus on making products that move your heart.
And Jordan said, Teslas are made with love. And Elon said, they are. Elon said, we do expect to make heavy use of LFP for medium-range cars and stationary storage. So he's referring to?
Lithium iron phosphate batteries. Those are the ones we think are going to be going into Model 3s at some point, and also are going to be going into the Powerwalls.
So Elon said, bringing a new product to volume production is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. You do still need that critical seed of inspiration, but it's fun and takes about 100 people. Production takes more than 10,000 people and hurts like hell until that gigantic cybernetic collective runs smoothly. And that, by the way, is the name of my new band, the Giant Cybernetic Collective, with our first album, Hurts Like Hell.
What's the song on there?
Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, and the beautiful thing is each Gigafactory is like a new product and is better than the prior. And Elon said,
yes, the Gigafactory is the hardest and most crucial product.
Viv said, any plans for Tesla to license Gigafactory tech at some point, e.g. production lines, paint shop, to accelerate Terafactory building? Think you've mentioned the world needs 100 Gigafactories to remove fossil fuels from the energy equation entirely.
And Elon said that would be like licensing Battlestar Galactica. Actually, building continuously evolving gargantuan factories is the hard part. Lots of people who worked at Tesla Gigafactories now work at competitors, but none of those companies have made one.
Attention. James Stevenson said, how's the 3D rewrite beta testing going? Full self-driving buyers are jonesing for a fresh over-the-air update. Any chance of one soon?
Elon said, Autopilot team is making great progress. Reality sure is complicated.
And Tesla and the Gong said, will Starlink give an opportunity for small-time retail investors? We are massive supporters of SpaceX. Tesla is the best stock I ever owned.
And Elon said, yes. So, Starlink stock?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Ho Tribe said, what a difference high-speed internet can make. Our children can participate in remote learning. Residents can access healthcare. We felt like we've been paddling upriver with a spoon on this. SpaceX Starlink made it happen overnight. Thanks, Washington State Commerce, for introduction. And Elon said,
you're most welcome.
And Kristen said, Tesla paint robots look like creatures searching.
And Elon said, mime craft.
Anyway, we can make camp mode work when battery is down to 15%. My road trip has no superchargers, and I'm sometimes below 20% when using camp mode overnight. We Canadians up here gets cold at night.
And Elon said, yeah, we could have a setting allowing it to drop as low as 5%. Now, I don't think that it needs to drop as low. I want you to be able to set the level that you want in camp mode, because maybe I know that I have to drive very far. 20% is far too low. I want 50%, 40%, 60%, 75%. I want to be able to set that level. And what you could do would then be set it to whatever temperature, you know, only add this much energy to the car over the course of the night, because you know how much energy that's going to be.
Oh, and like set,
end off.
This is the temperature I'd like, but if you can't meet that, do the best you can. I like that.
Because then...
VP is a special operation.
I'm just saying,
we got it.
If you want to do camping right, that is the setting that you'd want. Because I don't want to wake up with 20% battery if I am further than 20% from the supercharger.
You could be VP of camping.
I would totally take that. Are you kidding me? Yes.
EVHQ said, is the issue of phantom braking fixed in this release? There have been a number of people talking about this recently.
Elon said it should be.
And he went on to say, meant to say that it should be fixed in the latest wide release. Won't need to wait for full self-driving. Woohoo! People don't like the phantom braking. Whoa! Renata said, too messy and weird. That's the 2020 in a nutshell.
Elon said pretty much, but I think it may end on a high note.
And then Elon retweeted Motor Trend's latest article where they have a glowing review of the Model Y. I urge you to go read that if you're trying to convince someone to get the Model Y.
And send that to your friends.
Exactly.
Say, see? I told you!
And then lastly, Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, can we get Connect 4?
Elon said probably.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community Mail Time.
In Belgium, north of Liège, nearby the airport, an Audi A6 driven by a 94-year-old driver got on the highway going the wrong way and crashed into a Tesla Model 3. And get this, the driver and passenger of the Model 3, look at that car, they survived.
Unfortunately, the Audi driver later died from his injuries.
But I just want to say this. We all think we're good drivers. We all think we're being careful. There's times when it doesn't matter how good a driver you are. If someone's coming head on to you on a highway, there's not a lot of options you have. And so if your car has to keep you safe, this is the kind of car you want to be in, a Tesla. Speaking of being in a Tesla, our buddies Ross and Ari took their new Model Y up into the mountains of California and Tahoe National Forest to watch the meteor shower.
That's the same place that Scott went.
Yeah.
A good place to drive your Tesla, I guess. And Kevin shared this photo of a Model S police car in Brookhaven, Georgia. So,
yeah,
there they are.
And this is our buddy Alf showing off his solar panels in Anchorage, Alaska.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Ulf from Anchorage, Alaska. And that's my car. And over here is my newly installed solar panels. Do it yourself. Pretty simple. Actually, the hardest thing is to go through all the paperwork, at least up here, with the municipality. But, and what surprised me, even though I like solar panels, is the fact that even now in October, I have a positive solar effect, as in I get more out of my solar than I use in normal electricity during daytime. Well, now you know.
Look, I'm not a solar expert, but Ulf, if you're installing them yourself, give a little more tilt. You're super far north.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I don't know if that's south facing or anything like that. I'm just saying.
I think he has to keep them locked down to the roof. He doesn't want them to fly away.
I'm just saying.
You're not a solar expert.
You get so much more energy.
He's getting all the energy he needs.
That's true.
He's so
That's
happy.
True. I'm super glad for you all.
All right, what's the poll we did last week?
The poll was, would you get Starlink? And 200 people said, I want it. I don't care what it costs. About 450 people said that they would get it if it was priced similarly to their current internet package. And 95 people said that it would need to cost less than what they currently pay for internet.
All right, it's time for Supercharger reviews, and these are sponsored by our friends at Evannex. The rapid growth of the Gigafactory in Germany is something Tesla owners are proud of everywhere. So in the month of October, Evannex wants to celebrate and invite the Tesla community to shop their first ever Oktoberfest sale. Experience limited time discounts on select products for Tesla Model Y, 3, S, and X at the link down below.
Okay, welcome to the Glenwood Springs, Colorado Supercharger. It's in the parking lot of a Residence Inn Marriott, and if you go in the front door, there is a bathroom all the way down at the end of the hall. Not a super close walk to any of the other amenities. We are being iced right now. It was full when I got here. It's actually full, so this spot right here doesn't have a charger. So I let the front desk know, and they said that that's not something that they enforce, so they don't care. But other than that, nice charger, not too far off the highway. Bye. Okay, so here I am in Colby, Kansas, supercharger. It is right outside of this gas station, convenience store, China Walk, and Starbucks. Pretty nice supercharger, lots of stalls, and check this out, it's even got a dog park. So, not a bad stop.
Hello, this is Grandma and Grandpa Tesla. We have our Model Y being charged here with Michelle inside. We are at a version 2 charger in Albany, New York. We have a Regal Cinemas, we have a Barnes & Noble, Nordstrom Rack, couple restaurants, a Whole Foods supermarket, and across the street, even more places to shop at. This is a 8 out of 10. The reason why I wouldn't give it a 10 is, number one, this is not a clean place, but it's nice, it seems safe. And also, it's a version 2, not a version 3. So I would give it an 8. And now you know.
Hey, Zach and Jesse, this is my supercharger review, V2.0. We're at the Hudson, Massachusetts supercharging station. Looks like there are 8 stalls, 150 kilowatt. I'm getting about 580, 590 miles an hour of charge speed. Plenty of space available. It's behind this Panera Bread in the Highland Commons, like huge shopping area mall thing. So you could get anything your heart desires, from garden center goods to Ulta Beauty, a haircut, hand and stone massage, and every kind of food you could think of. I'd give this one I'm gonna go with a 9 out of 10. That's pretty darn high for me. Hope this helps. Now you know.
Hi, I'm Roger, and I'm at the South Sacramento Supercharger station that just opened up this week. And what we have here is 8 version 3 superchargers, including one at the end that's oriented in the opposite way, so you can pull in head first. And it's in a small strip mall that's anchored by a Raley's supermarket. Overall, I'd give this 7 out of 10. Now you know.
Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Holly.
And we're here in Tobermory, Ontario, Canada, at a destination charger provided by the Blue Heron Company. Tobermory is a tourist town. There's lots to do. There's a marina, so if you like boating, swimming, scuba diving, snorkeling, there's definitely more than enough to do. Lots of gift shops, including
you can go to the sweet shop.
The sweet shop, that's the kids' favorite. They like their fudge and their ice creams and their treats. But there's lots of restaurants, lots of souvenir shops, definitely lots to do. The charging itself, it's a 12 kilowatt system. There are 2 Tesla chargers, as well as another third-party charging system. And again, it is free of charge. Like I said, the donations are appreciated, I'm sure. But it's a great location, great spot, and it's a lot of fun to do for the day. So we really appreciate having this charging system here. How would you rate the Holly?
I'll rate this 9.
9 out of 10? I think so. 9 out of 10 is great because there's so much to do here. I definitely suggest if you guys are ever in the area, come on down. It's great. Lots of fun. Back to you guys.
Nice to see supercharger reviews just keep coming in. Isn't this amazing? We started it and we're like, be lucky if we get 1 or 2.
I know. I want to get the whole map covered.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about, head on over to our nowyouknowchannel.com/supercharger reviews website, where you can see a map with all of the superchargers, and a lot of them have your reviews there. So click on a supercharger, go film a review for it, and you'll be there on the website. And maybe we'll show your review right here on the channel.
And if you end up at a supercharger and you go, well, this supercharger is very beautiful, here's a random segment that we put together called The Most Beautiful Superchargers in the World. And this one is from Daryl in Superior, Montana.
Those are some superior flowers.
Yeah, it's photo edited. We've been seeing some pretty ones that aren't photo edited. I don't know. It's not my favorite, but thank you so much, Daryl, for sending that one in.
All right, what do we got for new superchargers in the world?
We got the 16-stall version 3 supercharger on West 120th Street in Hawthorne, California.
Gonna be a lot of happy SpaceX employees.
Yep.
We got number 550 in Europe, the 8-stall 250 kilowatt in Périgueux, France.
The 10-stall version 3 in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
The 8-stall 250 kilowatt in Kokomo, Indiana.
Number 897 in the United States. Number 1979 in the world is the 8-stall version 3 in Brighton, Colorado.
All right, it's time for the Patreon giveaway. We're going to be giving away a Poster Envy poster. This is a Tesla parking only poster, which we will sign for you on the front.
And the winner is M. Den. Congratulations, M. We are going to sign it right on the front, thus
rendering it worthless.
Unusable as a Tesla parking sign. Ooh, that was a good signature by me.
Really?
I'm not very good at signatures, so thank you very much. I just want to remind you about the in-depth that we talked about earlier on, where you can, we talk about all about how to move your money out of the clutches of big oil. Because you might think, you know, I always picture a bank, big vault, money's in the bank, that's where my money is. And like the movie It's a Wonderful Life, your money's not here.
Your money's in Joe's place.
Your money's going into the XL pipeline. The Mr. Potters of the world have sought to destroy it for some reason, and you can basically take your money
out of the Mr. Potter's bank.
It's literally the plot of a random person in the movie of It's a Wonderful Life.
Right. So put your money into the Bailey Savings and Loan, take it out of the Potter Bank. Is what we're asking you to do,
and it's
relatively easy to do. And the other thing,
it's very cheap to do.
And the other thing, it's not just your money; it's also your credit cards. Because your credit cards, even though they're a Visa or Mastercard or whatever, they work through a bank. They get part of your money, right? So when you go spend it, so yeah, have that credit card be through a bank that you like,
right?
And it's loaning it out to people doing good things like buying houses and stuff, as opposed to putting in pipelines.
Because not only are you taking that money away from big oil, you're also making a statement to those bigger banks who are financing fossil fuels. Again, they're just banks. If it hurts enough on the balance sheet of their business practices, they will change.
And that's why they are changing. Do you think they wanted to do this? Do you think it's really true that their CEO woke up one day and was like, I'd like to do something good? Right. No.
He's a banker. He wants to make more money.
Right.
So if he is going to not make as much money by financing big oil, then he's going to change his ways. That's the only way that bankers work. So anyway, go check out that in-depth. Send it to your friends if you've actually done it. Update our spreadsheet. I know that only 30,000 people have seen that gosh darn video.
Yeah.
I know that more people can see it, and I know that more people can change their banks. How many people did we actually have change their banks?
Right. So it's only like 100 people or something.
Right. Only 100 people have actually done that and that's updated the sheet, and we have $3 million.
More than $3 million.
So if you're watching this video, I mean, look at the view count of the video. You're going to be seeing somewhere anywhere from 0 to, I don't know, even maybe 100,000 viewers. If just 1% of those people, we're talking about 1,000 people,
we could easily move $10 million.
We were probably talking $30 million. Yeah. If 2% of people, $60 million. Right. That's a lot of money.
That makes people wake up in the banking industry.
And I'm just telling you, I really want you to go watch that in depth. More so than anything else. That's why I'm telling it to you right now. So go watch it. Put the link down, put it right over here. Click it. The episode's gonna end. You're not gonna be able to watch anything else. You better click it quick. Quick, you're running out of time. Click. Okay, it went away, but you gotta click the thing, open it back up, go watch it. All right. See you. We love you. We'll see you later. Now you know.